It's now 7 o'clock, and we will start this evening's regular commission meeting. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, if you'll join me.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Thank you, everyone. We have a really great turnout. Thanks for coming out, everybody. First item this evening is our consent agenda.
I so move that we approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. Hearing none, that motion carries. Next item is to receive the year-end report from Sand Creek Station Golf Course. We're going to have Dustin.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you guys for having us. Real quick before I introduce everybody, do I just say next slide? Okay. I'd like to introduce the Sand Creek Station team before we get into the year-end 2024 recap. I'll just have everybody stand up. Annie Carrillo is our Regional Sales and Marketing Director, whom I believe everyone here has met before. Tristan Webb, he's our Sales and Marketing Director. Been there for a long time. Lori Kimmerer is our Controller and HR. And then TJ Widener, who he's going to come up here and just introduce himself to everybody formally for the first time, is our Regional Operations Executive.
Nice to meet everybody. I've seen a few of you before. Dustin told me I can only talk for 15 seconds. So I live in Chicago. I've been with Kemper Sports for about 19 years. Really excited to work with you all here in this property and this amazing team. So look forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right. Thanks, everybody. And thank you guys again for having us tonight. So again, 2024 was a great year. I just wanted to, recap everything with you guys and just go over kind of the fantastic and record-breaking year that Sand Creek Station did have. So we'll go with the next slide. So just a couple of high-level key bullet points. We did achieve our highest ever revenue, our revenue goal, and we grew over prior year by 13.2%, while only expenses increased only 6.4% over prior year, which shows tremendous growth while obviously maintaining fiscal responsibility. In terms of expenses, total rounds in 2024 was very impressive with 36,808. It was technically our second highest ever to 2021. So again, continuing to see quite the increase in growth as the industry itself grows. And then we did outperform our budgeted revenues by 22.5% and finished under budgeted expenses just barely by 0.6%. But again, very encouraging to continue on this upward trend. Next slide. So just a couple of key, again, high-level points on sustaining growth and revenue generation. One of our pricing models, which I think everyone's in this room is probably a little bit more familiar with now, is dynamic pricing. If the Chiefs are playing, it's a little bit more expensive to stay in a hotel in Kansas City during the times of high demand. It's something that we utilize at Sand Creek Station. We do have a brand new virtual tee time assistant, Notify, that backfills last second cancellations with, so essentially if you sign up for the program, someone cancels, you get a notification right away on your phone, allows you to book that tee time. That way, we don't have to keep a so-called wait list and call people. So it reduces, man hours in the pro shop while also, continuing to fill those high-level premium tee times. And then again, we just continue to drive customer loyalty, talk about a little bit to conclude by offering a premium experience. Again, we'll go to the next slide. So our satisfaction survey results, which is conducted by the NGF, which is the National Golf Foundation. So we had 498 people fill out this survey. The survey is very in-depth. It takes about 25 minutes to complete. So it's not your typical 5-question survey. So it's very in-depth. It was sent out to over 27,000 contacts. Only 500 replied. And then, the core players, majority play somewhere around 8 to 15 rounds a year. Next slide. So our results on this survey were 9.5 out of 10, which again, so on this survey, we ranked #1 in the entire Kemper Sports portfolio in customer loyalty. Again, this is now 15 out of the last 16 years Sand Creek Station has achieved this. Again, just a testament to our staff and continued training and customer service training that we, implement at the golf course. Some other, numbers you'll see up there: clubhouse gets ranked, pro shop gets ranked, food and beverage gets ranked, friendliness of the staff gets ranked, and then of course value for cost satisfaction, that second one up there, again continues to be very high, as Sand Creek Station is widely considered a jewel in the municipal golf world, and prices are very fair and reasonable to market standards. Next slide. So our overall net promoter score in this very in-depth survey was an 89.96, higher than last year. We actually had 150 more people fill out this survey than last year, so we had more surveys and retained a higher score. So very encouraging to see. Again, hats off to the staff. It's truly a team effort to continue to maintain that. And I'll just quickly explain what promoters, passives, and detractors. So to get that promoter, that 92% promoter, that's scoring in a 9 or a 10. So if someone rates us an 8, that's technically a passive. So a 7 and an 8 is a passive, and then 1 through 6 would be a detractor on that scale. Just important to note. We'll go to the next slide. Just some key learnings and feedback. Pace of play continues to be a struggle for the industry as a whole, as golf has boomed. Most played courses for customers that play Sand Creek Stations: Auburn Hills, which is Wichita's flagship municipal course, and then of course Heston, right up the road. Course conditions continue to, obviously with the extreme amount of rounds we host, conditions do tend to suffer a tiny bit, but we, work very diligently in maintaining the course. James and his crew does a great job. And then food and beverage always is a hot topic of debate, but we continue to work on improving in that aspect as well. We'll go to the next slide. I just want to give everyone a brief overview of the golf industry, as golf has quickly become one of the most popular sports in America since COVID. So this rate has not been seen since the Tiger boom of 2000, 2001. There were 545 million rounds played in 2024. That's up, almost 25%, so 22% since 2019. And again, another 2% growth over 2023. And then now the 18 to 34 demographic really controls the market share in golf, which is becoming our target audience. Next slide. I know there's a lot of words on this, and I promise I'm getting close to wrapping it up. But one of the key points I wanted to make here is so there's 15,962 golf courses in America. It's actually more golf courses than McDonald's locations. So if you think about when you travel, McDonald's is always there, and how much land a golf course takes up versus a McDonald's location. Just goes to show you, there's quite a bit of supply. Obviously, demand is now rising to meet that supply, but, Sand Creek Station, we continue to do our part to continue to increase rounds and drive revenue and provide excellent customer service along the way. And then we've all heard of pickleball. Pickleball's exploded as well. I didn't, believe this number when I saw it, but golf actually grew more since 2019 than pickleball. And pickleball is everywhere. That is the new trend. Again, just really exciting to see the industry growing and then continue to capitalize on the new golfers and retain their business. We'll go to the next slide. That's it. So I wanted to thank you very much. Just a quick overall presentation. It was very high level. Didn't want to get too ingrained in the numbers, but I wanted to open it up for any questions or concerns going into 2025 or questions regarding 2024.
I just want to compliment you on a job well done Those numbers were pretty impressive. And I think that you have grown so much since you've started.
Very much.
You know, when you first came here, you were pretty shy about getting in front of that
Still am.
microphone, and now you're just up here like, that's no big deal. So congratulations.
I thank you guys. I mean, you really have just helped support the golf course so much. I mean, you make it easy, you know, to be able to talk to you guys, continue to update you on what's going on. I really want to continue to build the teamwork and work more with each and every one of you guys. And I really do words can't say it enough how much, support that you guys give the golf course. And I know TJ can attest to it more than I can, but there's some other, municipal golf courses throughout the country that don't receive quite near the support that you guys give. And I think Sand Creek Station is a great case study to see what can happen when we really work together as a team. So
You're doing a great job.
I thank you very
You're
much.
doing what you're doing.
Let's not discount that 22% increase in revenue and still kept your expenses below budget. So congrats on that. That's well
It's a
managed.
big deal.
Thank
And we value our relationship with Kemper Sports. It's,
You guys and your facility out there is one of our crown jewels we
Well,
have here in.
we keep it that way. It's work hard for you guys, and want to make sure it stays that way.
who stood on the ladder and took the picture?
That was actually taken during the adaptive.
Oh, was it really?
Jonathan and his
Oh,
crew
yeah.
with the
That's
drones.
cool.
But no, it's actually Tristan. He's out there on the ladder earlier.
Yeah. Fearless.
The adaptive, what an event.
It was.
Mhm.
It was very special.
What an event.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is to receive the year-end report for the Meridian Center. We'll have Michael Parker.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It is nice to be back. I've been back at the Meridian now for about 6 months after about a 1.5 year hiatus, and back in a new position and making some exciting changes and hoping to really grow things. So this might be a little bit different annual report since I'm kind of new to this side of it, but hopefully you will find it very insightful. Also, while I'm here, I would like to introduce our interim event manager, Dennis Owen. He's off to a great start and getting his feet wet, and we actually booked 2 events today. So for a Tuesday, that's pretty good. Next slide, please. So first off, I want to start with some of our highlights from 2004 and just some of our big events that we hosted. Back in February, we hosted the Big Brothers Big Sisters Cooks, Corks, and Kegs event, and we got a little groovy with them with a 60s theme. We actually just hosted their 2025 event, and they will be back with us again in 26. In April, we had the Newton and Heston, both their high school proms, and also the Kansas Historic Preservation Conference. In June, we hosted the HF Sinclair Golf Reception. They will also be booking with us again next summer. In October, we had the Heartland Pregnancy Care Center. This was kind of an exciting event. This was my first big one being back. We had a 400-person plated meal. For those of you who have been at the Meridian, plated meals are not the norm for us, and certainly a 400-person plated meal was definitely not, and a very small staff. But it was incredible, and we actually were able to serve that in about 30 minutes. So we were very proud of our staff for that one. In December, we had the Prairie Hills Financial Holiday Celebration, and this is an event that we had hosted once before. This was their second time with us, and they will be an biannual event with us. We also had the Health Ministries Company Holiday Party, and a couple exciting things. In December, we had brand new Christmas decorations in the Meridian, which hasn't happened for quite a while. The lobby, if you didn't get a chance to see it, was completely decked out. It was absolutely beautiful, and hopefully that'll get added to next year. And the biggest and most exciting thing that most people have commented on, we got new coffee cups. We went from an 8-ounce to a 16-ounce. I'm sure all of you will be happy about that. Next slide, please. So this slide is going to show a revenue breakdown for the past 5 years. We do have the food, beverage, and room breakdowns on there. What you don't see on here is the service charge and taxes. That is also included in the total amount. But we did have a revenue of $305,645 and some odd cents in 2024. You will see that is up from 2023. But we've stayed about in the same ballpark on that. And then obviously going back, you can see the numbers. I would like to point out there in 2020, that was through the COVID years there. And that number, we actually did manage to get that one because of some take and bakes. And so that's why that number is as high as it is. Next slide, please. This is a list of our number of events over the 2024 year and then going back. The total number of events you'll see from 2024 is 115. 23 was 141, 150 in 22, 93 in 21, and then 270 in 2020. Another thing to point out here is the way the events are being kept track of in Cateries. That's our software program. We're discovering some discrepancies in it. Currently in 2024, we started entering all events that were multi-day events as a single event. Previously, in the past years, those have been entered as each day as a separate event, and thus you see higher numbers on that. Back in 2020, obviously 270 events, that included every day of take and bakes. So,
How do you enter Rotary?
Rotary, each Rotary is a separate event.
A separate event.
Next slide, please. Now, since I can't give you too much from the past year because I wasn't there, I can give you a little glimpse into what we see for the future. First of all, one thing that we did just get in is we started new uniforms on February 1st. They look fantastic. You can see them there in the bottom picture. It is a charcoal gray polo with the Meridian logo on it, black pants, black shoes, and a burgundy apron. The staff looks really sharp and they're quite comfortable in them. They were very happy about them. We are starting additional beverage offerings to our clients. In a new format, and that means that our canned sodas and bottled waters are actually going to be in coolers and not just on ice, so no more wet cans that you're pulling out of a cooler. We're also offering flavored sparkling water along with the canned sodas. We are working on a brand new menu. Chef Ruben is working hard on that. It is taking a little more time than we had hoped, but we want to offer some brand new and exciting options for that. In addition to that, we are also that will also include our brand new Grand Meridian buffet, which is still in the works, but that's going to be our biggest and best buffet, and it will have a few items that will be exclusive only to that buffet. Additionally, with that, we are also working towards amping up the way that we present our food and the buffets, so that we give a better presentation and really show off the high quality that matches the high level of service that we provide. We are also working on branding and marketing goals. This past January, we actually started attending the Wichita Bridal Fair. You can see that picture there in the bottom middle. And with that, we talked to many brides over the past, over those 2 days, and gave them quite a bit of information and a little bit of Meridian swag, which is also new. And if you guys come to the Meridian, you can get some yourself. We have a great little compact mirror that has the Meridian logo on it, and then the best stress ball ever. It's shaped like a champagne bottle. And then finally, we're also in the process of creating a marketing plan that will move us into the future and really get us marketing to each of the segments of clientele that we are reaching for social, corporate, and associations. Let's see here. And finally, we are also we are in the process of creating a 5-year plan with improvements and things that we want to do with the Meridian to move us into our next 15 years. In 2026, the Meridian will celebrate its 15th anniversary, and it's 15 years of providing outstanding service to the community and the city of Newton. And I'm really excited to be helping to lay the groundwork for the next 15 years of great service as the Meridian as we continue to provide small town hospitality with big city service. So thank you so much. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
We, Ardent Mills had their Christmas party
Yes.
there, and it was gorgeous. The decorations were gorgeous. The hallway entryway was just lit up, and everything was great. The food was
Thank
great.
you very much.
So I'm sure they'll be
It's just the beginning.
using you again for that. But we had a lot of fun.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item this evening is to, make sure I get this right, consider an ordinance adopting the dates and times for discharge of fireworks for 2025. Chris, Denise, you guys gonna kick this off?
Either way, I can kick it off. Continued discussion from our previous meeting regarding fireworks. Staff has provided an ordinance that memorializes the sales times that you guys had established by motion at the previous meeting. That ordinance is ready for adoption tonight, or it could be held if you want to wait to implement other terms. We also included those draft revisions to the IFC that also discuss both the sale and discharge of fireworks. So that's not ready for adoption tonight, but it was referenced at the previous meeting, so it's included now in your packet for review. So we would look for discussion, direction from staff. I don't know if you're taking public comment on it, but that would be the tee up for it.
All right. Aaron, we did a survey. You threw that out on the internet. You have a summary for us of how that turned out?
Sure. We did conduct a small online survey from last Friday through this morning to gather some feedback from the public. It was promoted on our website, in our newsletter, and on our social media accounts. We received 1,448 responses to the question, how many days do you think fireworks should be allowed in Newton? 65.4% said 4 days, 34.6% said 8 days. Obviously, there are more choices before you than just those two, but those were the two options, the two motions that were offered at your last meeting, and so those were the options that we provided just to try to simplify the data that we received. Obviously, this was not a randomized sample or a scientific survey of the community, but it does kind of give you an overview of opinions from the community. And obviously, it's just one of many venues for you to receive feedback for you to consider in your decision making.
Right. Thank you, Aaron. I know a lot of the commissioners, as well as I and staff, received calls and emails to the tune. I would say they're probably pretty in line with the survey percentages, about 2/3 wanting to keep it limited and 1/3 wanting to have it full bang. I don't know what to say.
Shebang.
So I think we could go ahead and have commissioners, or is anybody here to speak on the matter?
I think you have a number of people in the audience that are here to speak, and I would say that you should probably hear those comments before you decide to bring it back to the bench. And I think that once they bring it back to the bench, make sure you have all the comments that you need, and then bring it back to the bench, and then make your decision from there.
Very good.
Thank you, Denise.
Who'd like to go first? Come on up. If you would, anybody wanting to speak, if you would just simply state your name and address, and then.
Hi, my name is Maris Carmichael. I live at 1104 Southeast 3rd Street. I think 4 days is plenty enough, because people are already shooting off a lot of fireworks outside of the permitted times and stuff late in the evening.
Right.
all the time. And I think if you were to open it up to 8 days, we're not going to have 8 days. We're going to have like 3 weeks of it. And, you know, I have to get up early in the morning for work. It's hard to fall asleep when people are lighting off fireworks until 1:30 in the morning. Not to mention what it does to my dogs, but, you know, I know not everybody's a pet owner, so nobody cares about that.
Right.
I care, but I also care about my sleep. Like, I want to be able
We
to
all care about your dog.
Okay, I want to be able to sleep is the main thing, you know, and I guess it makes me a stick in the mud, but when my neighbors are lighting off fireworks until like 1:30 in the morning, I'm like, why? I own this home. I pay taxes here. Why is this happening to me? So 4 days, I think, would be great if you guys could stick with that. Thanks.
Thank you.
And
Thank
you're
you.
not a
Thank you.
stick in the mud.
No.
No.
Anyone else? Sir?
Brian Donnelly. I am the owner of Big Show Fireworks. My properties, I have several here, but 311 Oak. The fireworks industry is hard enough as is. Last year when it was restricted, the days we could sell, but no one could shoot it off, and there are other tent owners here that could attest to this, but our sales dropped quite a bit. When you only have a week to make up, you know, your total amount of sales, it gets right down to the wire. I know in my stand, usually the 4th of July right around noon is where I break even. So as a multiple business owner, that's kind of a tense moment when, you know, it comes, you know, I've had years where I've lost $20,000, right? So I think we need to look at it. You know, I appreciate folks should not be shooting them off past the hours, and I don't know as if there is a way to stop the general public from doing that, but that's not on the tent owner. The years where our sales times didn't match other sales times, we would see folks that they just plain and simply tell you they bought their fireworks down in Wichita or, you know, pick Goddard or wherever they wanted to do it. You know, I don't want the city to lose out on sales tax revenue because that's a big deal. You know, I don't know how to balance that, but if you cut us down to a 4-day, you run the risk of businesses, 1, losing out on that income, and 2, losing money. So
So you're talking about 4-day sale or 4-day lighting or 4-day sale and lighting?
no, I'm saying my suggestion is the 8-day. Actually,
Yeah.
I think the discussion is also for this year is really unique.
Yeah.
Because Saturday being the 5th,
Yeah.
Historically, even when we've been allowed to sell the day after, I've never have kept my tent up.
Yeah.
Just because, for a lot of reasons, but it just didn't make sense to me. With it being on a Saturday, people are going to have that 4th of July Friday night party. But then you're going to have a lot of people that had to work Friday or something's going on, so they're going to want to do it on Saturday. Well, if we don't open it up where we can not only sell, but shoot off on Saturday, we're going to lose all those sales to the surrounding communities. And, you know, we need all the revenue we can get. And, yeah, I also agree we need to figure out how to get people to shut it down on time. But, yeah, I'd open up for any questions that I can answer.
Okay. All right.
Thanks.
Sure.
I have a question. My name is Eric Mallory, and I live at 1104 Southeast 3rd Street. And does the lighting and sales have to be locked together?
No.
Okay.
No. So this body was pretty much in consensus at the last meeting to allow sales from the 27th of June through, I think we landed on the 4th. And, but we were unable to arrive at a unanimous decision on the discharge portion of that.
Discharge. Okay. That's all I needed to know. And I think that 4 days is plenty because, after all, it is Independence Day, not Independence Week.
I agree.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hello again. I may repeat myself from a couple weeks ago. Alicia Boffman, 1202 East Hickory. I manage a tent in Newton and have for over 20 years. I'm not an owner, but I heard from a lot of people last year that came in. And I think what I would say is confusion in general, looking at we could sell, but they couldn't shoot. So I think that is one point I would like to make. And I did actually message our the supplier we have, and I said, what do most people do? And I could look up the text message, and they said, in general, most towns, they have the same discharge as when people can buy them. So it just lessens the confusion. I also kind of want to emphasize what was mentioned about the weekend. I don't know if the sales dates are up again for discussion, but with the 5th being on a Saturday, if we would have a shortened amount of time, that really doesn't give people even one weekend that they could celebrate the 4th. So that's one point I would like to make as well. So I think it just makes sense to have the same dates for discharge and sales to make it less confusing to the public. And I don't know, you know, I know there's people that want to maybe have a certain time that they go to bed, but if their neighbors are reporting them, and I know that does happen, it also probably kind of becomes conflict between the neighbors. Like, now we're not getting along because these people aren't following the rules. And maybe if we have 8 days, keep it the same as the state, people won't be up for as much conflict, like who turned me in, and wondering that piece of it. And I feel like may have been the last meeting, we heard a little bit from the police and the fire department, and they also kind of didn't seem to give that there had been a lot of problems in the past. So that's kind of just a few points I would like to make. So thank you.
Can I ask you a
Thanks for
question?
considering this again.
Yeah. If given a choice between lighting the 27th through the 4th, or selling the 27th through the 4th, and only lighting the 1st through the 4th, well, let me just think about what I'm trying to say here. Yeah. But if you had a choice between lighting and selling the 1st through the 4th, and selling the 27th through the 4th, but only lighting the 1st through the 4th, what would you choose?
Say that one more time.
Okay, if you want the lighting period the same period of time, and we decide to go for 4 days, that gives you 4 days of selling and lighting, the 1st through the 4th. So would you prefer that, or would you prefer being able to sell starting on the 27th?
Okay. I would, yeah.
But no lighting until the 1st.
I mean, I would still prefer to sell the whole time period. I mean, we honestly, at our location, we get a lot of people that come through town, not necessarily stay, but they are coming through town and pick things up because we're close to the interstate.
Yep, okay.
And that's why I have no problem allowing the protracted, extended sales portion. I mean, frankly, the county only allows 3 days, I think, for discharge. So, you know, we're up here to balance the competing interests of the citizens and the tent owners and such. Did you have a?
If I may.
Sure.
My name is Scott Motes. I'm here on behalf of the emergency response team. We managed we own and manage a tent for close to 10 years now. We're in a unique position. You know, the money we raise goes to the team. It goes to equipment, it goes to training. So obviously, the more we can sell, the better it benefits us. It benefits the community, the county, in this region from a safety standpoint. So obviously, I'm in favor of sales for as many days as we can. Please don't confuse the uniform. You know, I sympathize with the dog owners. My wife has fits during the 4th of July, but, you know, from a management standpoint with the tent, you know, the more sales we can have, the more days we can sell, the better off we are financially as a team. The one thing that I would like to recommend is if we're considering discharge on the 5th, that we also allow sales on the 5th, because that would be a missed opportunity for us and a lot of the other tent owners. Those last few days, as Mr. Donnelly stated, are huge days for us, and that could be a massive day for sales for us. It's a high risk, high reward business. We make a huge investment of this. We finance ourselves. We don't finance, we do cash sales. We buy our fireworks outright. So we work hard to maintain an inventory, and by all means, we want to sell it and make money on it. So that would be the one consideration that I would ask for. Any
Thank you.
questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm David Loudon. I don't live in Newton. My partner, as you've heard from him a couple weeks ago, is from Newton. And while I don't live here, I am invested in the community. We have two businesses here that we spend a lot of money on. And, with the fireworks business, this isn't for us just setting up a tent. I mean, I appreciate everybody setting up a tent. We used to run a tent. And there is risk for the people that are supplying those fireworks. I mean, we're buying fireworks a year ahead of time, trying to forecast how to run our business, how to, pay our rent, pay our insurance, the taxes that we put in. I mean, we have two decent-sized buildings. One of them is an event center that we sell fireworks out of so we can have the event center. But that's a tough business in and of itself. But we do spend a lot of money and a lot of time. I mean, we are working all year long, bringing fireworks in from China, buying from wholesalers that are trying to sell it. So we have a vast amount of money involved in this, and that's why we are pushing for the 8 days. And going to your question, we would much rather have sales for the whole time and limited shoot, because we do appreciate the fact that some people do take it too far, and it does get out of hand sometimes, and it can get out of hand and frustrating for people. So we'd rather have the shorter time. As far as the 5th sales and shoot, I know 2 weeks ago when we were here, we talked about just ending on the 4th. We're not opposed to the extension to the 5th on either ground. If that'll help people. I mean, there's a lot of reasons, like we don't normally sell on the 5th. We're trying to tear things down and stuff, but we wouldn't certainly stand in anybody's way, especially with the 5th falling on a Saturday. And we touched on this briefly last time too, and I appreciate you guys listening to all this again. And I mean, this is a lot, and it's a lot of pressure, I know. But every year it's not uncommon for right around that, probably the end of the month toward the end of June to the 1st of July, there's bound to be a storm. About every year, tents are getting knocked down if it's storming in there. So if we have a more limited shoot time, people are going to be scrambling to fill those tents. Wichita had that big tent right outside of Andover that went down last year, and luckily Jakes was able to get that thing back up and going. But I know that Walmart's lost a tent and had to get that going. So if there's some bad weather, it cuts into our ability to sell fireworks and shoot fireworks, so recouping some of our money. And I understand money isn't everything, but when you're trying to encourage businesses to come in and invest in this community, I'm telling you, we've put up a building, we've renovated a warehouse, we're trying to make it a better place. So it does cost money, so money does matter in large part if you're trying to promote business. I feel like we're doing that, and if my partner Trinity Muth couldn't be here tonight, but I think you must have all gotten maybe a letter that kind of explains some more, so I don't need to go into all that. But I do appreciate your time. I think everybody has a valid point, and it's just competing interests that we're just trying to deal with. So.
Is there really an increase in sales that much when we allow a sale for 3 or 4 days before discharge?
Definitely. I think
is it a significant amount?
Well, I mean, I guess that's maybe a little hard to gauge sometimes. Last year was, I think it was hard for everybody last year because I think people were trying to be good citizens, and they were confused and frustrated, and I think that it did hurt sales a little bit to have that imbalance and that broken up shoot time. We didn't grow as much as I think we had hoped we would, and then with through the COVID stuff, I mean, some years were flat, some went up when people had all that money to spend. They were doing that, so I think that some of those years were okay, but I think some consistency is good because we didn't hear those complaints in the prior years. about, oh my gosh, we got to stop shooting at 10. Who's going to do that? And can we shoot today and not shoot? We all put up the signs that tells them the shoot times that, people don't even read a sign as they're walking straight in the door. So people were frustrated about it. But I think going to the point of everybody else is if we're only going to sell for a short period of time or shorter period of time, I think people know that they're being sold other places. They're going to go other places and buy those fireworks. But I think by and large, it seems to me, most people are trying to be considerate. I know there's people that aren't. But so anyway, I do appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Denise, I have a technical question. So we voted last time for the same time frame that the state
Correct.
ordinance dictates.
Yes.
So in other words, we couldn't, even if we wanted to, go from the 27th through the 5th.
You could just change that in the ordinance that you would vote on tonight.
So then why does the state even have an ordinance if we can overrule that?
We didn't do the full window. We just did from the 1st through the to the 4th. But if you would decide to change
for the sales?
For the sales, we did the sales as the 1st through the 27th through the 4th.
That's right.
Yes.
We did that for the sale.
Just for the sales. We did not do the.
Change that piece of it to the 5th. We override what the state does.
The state allows through.
The state allows through the 5th.
The state's window was a little bit bigger. You guys didn't allow on the 5th. You could expand to the full.
Correct.
Yeah.
To the 5th.
Not withheld.
Okay. And then just because we voted last time on.
That ordinance has not been published, so we would just
So that can be changed.
That can be changed because we would put it all into this one ordinance. And then at some point, if you want to be consistent, we could make that a permanent, just the sales time, nothing else, just the sales time. We could make that a permanent one so that every year we don't have to come back and talk about the sales dates. We would just talk about the discharge dates and times. So everything is on the table tonight.
Well, I for one, I'm conflicted because I have to appreciate the 1,400 people that took the time to respond to this survey, and by a 2-to-1 margin there, they said the 4 days for discharge. However, I'm also I can appreciate, as the business owner and the tent managers and so forth, I can appreciate that angle that you really do want. If we're gonna sell from this day to this day, we need to be able to discharge. I mean, that's just uniformity, So I don't know. I'm conflicted.
Well, I'm not as conflicted. I mean, as a business owner, I understand the aspect of if I can sell it and they can discharge it, then they're going to be back at my tent the next day to buy some more. So I totally support that as a business owner and everything. But in this role that I'm in this evening, I'm not in that. I'm totally up for allowing sales to align with the state and not have to revisit that every year. That one is just I have no skin in that game.
What was it the state allowed?
State
8 days?
27th through the 5th.
Oh, 27th.
But as far as discharge, I'm here for 4 days. I would be fine moving it from the 2nd through the 5th.
But it sounds like, are you guys saying that when we divide it up like that, where we have discharge days and we have sales days, it's
last year was
confusing, but
right.
But
last year
it almost seemed like you said to kind of hurt your sales a little bit because
last year was confusing because we actually had a split discharge window where they could sell and then they could discharge, but then they could only sell and then they could discharge again. And that was sporadic. As far as it being confusing, I trust and believe that anybody that can put a QR code up to display videos of how the fireworks are going to look if you buy them and shoot them off, we can communicate better to the public what that is, both us as a city as well as the tent owners.
I will just say real quick that the tent owners are all given signs that they have to have 5 of them, and they are bright orange, and that is something that they are given when they give me their application and I write their license. So they have to place them at entrances and that kind of stuff. So that information is there for the public to see. And it does tell you what the sales discharge dates are.
I'd just like to address your question. I own 2 stands. I have one in Valley Center, and they have gone through some of this in their commission. And the sales here were 20% off on the days where we couldn't shoot them off. Just to give you that, I mean, and that's big. They mirror the same dates every year, so they don't have this discussion.
So you sold more when you could discharge?
Oh, definitely. And what they've done, which I actually like more than the way we do it here, is Denise is right. We get 5 signs that absolutely nobody walks in a tent and reads, right? Unless they ask a question and we say, hey, it's right here, read this, and we explain it to them. Because I bet we did that a couple million times this last year. In Valley Center, because they don't change it every year, they have a massive sign. I mean, and it's the same one, and I own 2 of them because I want people to understand the rules, but it's a huge sign you cannot miss. And so there's no way you could walk into the tent and not see that. Last point I'd make is one thing that I neglected to say is, you know, I brought some folks with me today that I employ in my fireworks tents. So not only when we lessen those days, we also lessen the income to several people, because I employ between the 2 tents, you know, between 10 and 15 people every year. And that's money that makes a difference. So thank you for letting me address that.
Thank you.
Can I say one more thing? I didn't bring it up, but it's an option, and I know we talked about how it might be confusing from year to year. I was not in the mindset of how you were going to word the ordinance. There was some concern last time, how are we going to do this without messing with the language all the time, and it would be confusing if we had a grid or something. I can't remember what the word was, but I mean, is it possible? I know the online thing is saying 4 days, but is it possible to say July 1st through the 4th, except when the 5th falls on a Friday or a Saturday, then you would shoot on the 5th? Is that so far out of the realm of possibility that that's not a real option, where most years it's going to be 4 days?
I don't have any interest in memorializing in perpetuity the discharge rule. I think the sales I would memorialize to align with the state, but I think given this situation, until I think it needs to be addressed every year, and I think we need to be willing to do the hard work every year.
I agree. I agree.
So if it were for me, if we were going to say 4 days, that's what we're going for. My preference would, you know, we'd be okay with the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th this year. If we were open to 5 days, my preference would be July 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. So, because I like the 1st through the 5th. Hey, it's July, we can shoot in July. I think it's simple. So, thank you.
So, thank you.
Yes.
In efforts to not be a stick in the mud and also not a business hater, I don't own a business. I work in higher education. I appreciate folks that own businesses and are trying to make a profit and stuff like that. I definitely want you guys to be able to sell a bunch of days. I just, as a resident of this community, really ask that people can only fire 4 days, because like you guys said, I know, and it's not your burden to educate people. It's not your burden to chase people down the street to their houses and be like, hey, are you lighting these off on the bad days, you know? But people are doing it. Unfortunately, people are not caring about their neighbors in the times and the frames in which they light these fireworks off. And that's the real problem. And a lot of times, you know, it's in your neighborhood, but you don't know exactly what house it is unless you get out and start driving around or something like that. That's why I don't call. That's why I don't call the cops to send them on a wild goose chase through a neighborhood. Someone around here is lighting off fireworks, or maybe 3 or 4 houses. I don't know which ones. You guys have to drive around to figure it out. So, but it is happening. So I just, you know, I guess maybe I'm the only resident that showed up to say 4 days, but I just want to reiterate 4 days. So thank you.
I'm not opposed to necessarily adopting the state's regulation or recommendation, whatever, for the sales, but I do get, I totally get that, how I could see where that would hurt the business part of things, because they can't discharge. And so they're not using them, so there's no reason to go back the next day and go get more. So I feel like 4-day selling from the 1st through the 4th is, and discharging the 1st through the 4th should be sufficient enough for the people in the community. We did receive a lot of emails, and of course the poll kind of tells the story as how that went. But I think that to me is kind of a happy medium, because then your sales aren't getting hurt and the community is getting what they want, the 4 days of discharge. So that's where I stand.
Okay. Thank you. I would be willing to throw out, and I know we messed up last year and we had the cutoff time too early. We know we did that wrong last year, and I'll take the blame on that one. That's not a problem. I would throw out a motion just to get the ball going, and just say sales from June 27th through July 5th. And what did we have the times on that? 10 to 10. Okay. So
10 to 10.
That's for sales on my motion. And then as far as discharge, I would motion for the 2nd through the 5th, 10 a.m. through midnight. That's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday for discharge.
What is with the 5th? Like, why are we?
Because
wanting
it's
to do the
Saturday. Because it's Saturday, and people are going to treat that like it's just the start of a weekend if it's just Friday night.
Right.
Okay.
And for the real serious people who blow fireworks, they're not going to stop
You'll go
Friday
do
night.
Mom and Dad's on Friday.
Yeah, they're not going to stop
Party
Friday
on
night.
Saturday.
I get that.
Yeah, so
Melanie, I'll just say that we have had in the past when we've had the 5th or the 4th fall on a Friday or a Saturday that they have allowed, the commission has allowed for the 5th. So that's not that you have to do that, but that's where some of that has come.
You're still just doing 4 days. 2nd to the 5th rather than 1st to the 4th.
I mean,
Right. So that kind of aligns with the public sway, the 2/3 of the populace. It allows for the sale on the maximum amount of time. Tent owners can choose to close on after the 4th. They can stay open on the 5th and take care of that last minute blue light special on any stuff to get rid of it, so you don't have carryover costs or anything. So that's the kickoff motion.
Well, I was just wanting to say what it feels like is you're either on the side of businesses or you're on the side of your citizens. And in this role up here, we work on a lot of things with regard to businesses. There's a lot, and I am very much for businesses, businesses coming to our community. With regard to money, I stand by what I said. We work on a budget every year, and I very much care about our budget and what we do. We go through that with a comb and a fine-tooth comb, and again, because that's my taxpayer dollars as well as yours. But at this time, I'm going to lean on the side of our citizens, and the emails that came back, most of those that I saw were for at least 3 days. Some said 4. There might have been 1 or 2.
There were a few that said 1.
Yeah, there was. Yeah,
There was some that said 0.
There was I mean, they were.
Yes. Yeah, and being on the side of nostalgia, as I have been, has it been said, I'm good with that. And I said this at the last meeting, there was one 4th of July, and that's when you celebrated it. So I feel like I am willing to compromise and do 3 days, 4 days, if that's what we have to do. If it was up to me totally, it'd be 1 day. But the money thing, this is where it's not that I don't care about the money and sales tax dollars, but this is when it's not a priority because people are the priority. And business people are a priority too. They're important, but at this particular time, my thoughts and my heart go to the people who have asked us time and time again, year after year after year, to limit the discharge, to let it be as little as possible, because they get tired of night after night. And regardless of what days we set this for, as far as discharge, regardless, they're going to fire whenever they want, and they still fire afterwards. I heard them as much as 3 weeks after it was over with. So we just have to set what we believe is right, and we know that they're going to be fired off anyway and anywhere outside of those parameters. So I appreciate what you're doing, how you all are working to raise money. I do. We don't buy fireworks, but we do like to help out. And so I appreciate that. But I guess, Rich, if you have a motion there for the discharge to be the 2nd through the 5th, I will second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have further discussion?
Kathy, I just want to remind you that he also made a motion to change the sales date from the 27th to the 5th.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, that will be
And
included.
10 to midnight for discharge.
10 to midnight.
Correct.
On the 5th, correct?
Every day.
2nd through the 5th.
2nd through the 5th.
2nd
10
through
to
the 5th.
midnight for
10
discharge,
to
10
midnight.
to 10 for sales on the larger period.
Thank you for the clarification.
So I got a motion and a second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Same sign.
See, that wasn't hard,
That
was it?
motion carries. Thank you all for participating in that. I do want to say, I'm not familiar with the name of the company, but there's a pet ID company, Chips, that just went out of business. So please check with your vet or the animal shelter to make sure that your pet's chips are still scannable. I'd hate for your animals to get out during any of the fireworks or any storms that might push fences down, so.
You gonna do
Okay.
And just to clarify on that item, we'll come back with an ordinance that memorializes your decision at the next meeting. Okay.
Okay.
All right, team. Dun, dun, dun. Next item, we are to receive a request to close Oak Street from 5th to 7th, the 100 block of East 5th and 6th, 6th Street and all that for Newton Open Streets. Awesome. And if you
Thanks
don't
for
want to
coming.
hang out with us all night long, you can go ahead and.
Thank you.
Yes, you are.
But you're welcome to
Detention's
stay.
over.
No, come talk. We don't care. Yeah.
Okay, Commissioners, I would just let you know that Newton Open Streets has given us an application to close the 100 block of 5th and 6th Street and Oak Street from 5th to 7th Street. They also would like to close the parking lot, the Oak Street parking lot over here. They didn't have that last year. This is the second year that they are doing this event. It's on a Sunday afternoon. They had a really good, successful event last year, and I think they are just wanting to add on to that event. I have sent this out to all staff and have not heard anything bad back, and so I would say that we should go ahead and approve this request as presented.
I would move that we approve the request as presented.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Denise, they did not check the box to say request to waive fees, so that means they're going to pay us? Darn it.
Yeah, I just don't think that.
Okay.
I would make that part of my motion then, just to clarify that we waive the fees.
That the fees are waived.
Okay.
Still have to pay the fee to apply.
Right.
This is for the closure of.
Right.
Right. Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion carries. Next item is to consider a lease agreement with Beran Concrete for property at the industrial park.
I can tee it off, but Suzanne's going to jump in as well. This is a lease with Beran. It's a short-term lease at the city's KLP, and it's a $5,000 or $6,000 per month for 6 months without any sort of extensions. The tenant would have an automatic opt-out here at the end of February, just depending on business needs, whether or not they want to go forward. Suzanne can add some color to it. It's a pretty straightforward lease agreement.
The other piece about this that's important is this is contingent upon the rezoning of this property from I-2 to I-3. The Planning Commission did consider this at their meeting on February 3rd and unanimously approved the recommendation to you for consideration at your next meeting, February 25th. There's a waiting period on this. And so this will come to you at your next meeting to consider the rezoning from I-2 to I-3. I don't see any big issues with that. We're bringing you the lease tonight because Beran just needs to know if they're going to be able to do that moving forward. And with the unanimous vote of recommendation from Planning Commission, felt like it was relatively straightforward. I don't believe that they're going to need to pull out after getting a few emails from them today. And he could not be here this evening because of another commitment, but if you approve this tonight, I think they are full throttle ahead here, assuming that the rezoning occurs.
I move that we approve this lease agreement.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, that all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you, Chris and Denise. Chris, next item is to consider airport ground lease with L3 Harris Technologies.
Yeah, and I'll tee this up. We've got also the airport manager, Brian Palmer's here, and he's going to give you some of the background in terms of what this lease accomplishes. This isn't a revenue-generating lease. It's essentially provides a service that Brian's going to explain to you. They had a lease in place due to the change of ownership of an entity that controlled it. They asked for this new lease to be rolled out. We've reviewed it. We've sent it to county staff for review and would recommend approval, but I'll let Brian explain kind of what they do out there.
So this is a broadcast tower. It's the red and white tower that stands above all else out at the airport. It's part of the National Transportation System, airway system that's used by aircraft. It's an automatic dependent surveillance broadcast system. Aircraft use it for navigation, communication purposes. L3 Harris is the contractor that's been hired by the FAA to manage it. Quite frankly, this is just the FAA being nice. They're saying, hey, could you do a lease for us? If no, well, we're going to take the land anyway. So they're just playing nice. So they're the contractor right now, and so that L3 Harris is why we're doing it with them. But ultimately, it's the FAA that's asking for the lease. It's about a 10-foot by 10-foot plot. It's pretty small on the west side of the airport.
And as co-owners of the airport, our county partners will also have to approve this lease for it to be effective.
Awesome. All righty. Well, at this time, I'd call for a motion.
I would so move that we accept the lease as presented.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. That motion carries. Next item is to consider the assignment of airport ground lease for Midwest Electric Transformers to Bumblebee LLC.
And this is a quick one, another airport item. This is just a lease assignment, like the mayor indicated, from Midwest Electric to Bumblebee. They are affiliated entities, and per the ground lease, essentially the city and county should approve that transfer. It's not an outside sale that would trigger other provisions of the lease agreement. This is a ground lease that's been entered into, I believe, in the late 90s, and it goes through 2052. No concern from city staff in terms of approving this assignment. We'd ask you to approve it.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, at this this time I'd call for a motion.
I move that we approve this lease agreement.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Awesome.
Third.
All righty. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. That motion carries.
I didn't get my eye out, but I don't oppose it. I'm for it, so that's
I thought I heard it.
okay, all right.
Awesome. Next item is to receive bids and award contract for the Hillside Paving Project. Suzanne.
Yes, Commissioners, back in December, you approved us moving forward with the bidding process for Hillside, paving it from, because it's currently a dirt road, paving it from East 1st down to Southeast 12th Street. On the 6th, which was last Thursday, we had a bid opening, and we had 5 contractors that bid the project. You have a bid tab that was in the packet. The low bidder was Pearson Construction at $2,901,115.50. That is under the engineer's estimate, and we would recommend that you award bids to Pearson Construction.
It's a lot under the engineers.
Magic.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it mobilization or what?
If you look, well, it's a lot under the engineer's estimate, but look at the range of the bids themselves.
They were just
And
under Donlinger too, so
kind of right in there.
means they
So
they both saw the same thing.
we typically expect, the engineer's estimate to fall kind of in the middle of the range, and that's pretty close to where we're at here. And remember, this project will be ongoing similar time as the Spencer Road improvements. So if you're going out to this area, you're going to go southbound on Spencer and northbound on Hillside, not the other direction. Okay.
Awesome.
And the annual debt service payments for this project will be funded through the economic development funds.
Well, I would move we accept the bid.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second that.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. That motion carries.
I just have one little quick comment. I can see Pearson smiling a lot. $160 under the next bid on a $3 million project. Now that
Right.
is
Yeah.
crazy. That is close.
It happens.
Yeah.
It does happen.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know what they feel like.
The other bid was almost exactly what yours was. I was like, ooh, they're using the same software.
Or the same numbers, who knows?
Awesome. Okay. Well, next we'll do citizens forum and then executive.
Sounds
right?
great.
So, Mr. Glass?
Fellow commissioners and fellow citizens. I was just kind of curious. The other night I'd come home from someplace and watched the news on ABC News that the city of Newton's water rate's going to go up. And I thought that already been taken care of, but it didn't. And during that time I was thinking, they had mentioned that the Ogallala Aquifer had been measured down about a foot lower this year than it was last year. And I was just kind of curious, has anybody seen what the equus beds are like and measured them?
Yes, we always monitor our well depths, and remember that Newton has water that comes from Newton wells and from the Wholesale Water District wells, and so we monitor those all the time. Definitely, they are lower, but we are not to the point where we would be in a water emergency, if you will. If we get to that point, we have a full protocol that we would utilize, and we have seen them come up a bit since we have received some additional precipitation.
Okay, well, I drive around and I see the construction out southeast out there at the industrial plant, and I'm glad for that. And then I see a lot of new homes being built and everything else, and I was kind of curious, have they figured out what maybe that impact might be on the equus beds? Since the industrial area, they're going to probably use a lot of water, and also new homes coming in that definitely they're going to use water.
Sure.
If they had maybe figured up ahead of time, maybe what kind of an impact that would have.
We in Newton have plenty of water to be able to serve any new developments.
Well, that's fine. That's just what I was being curious about, seeing all this construction. And notice that the Ogallala Aquifer down and then turn around, then I want to know how much that affected the Equus beds.
Yeah, good question. Definitely, we watch that as we're moving forward and we look at master plans and things, but we have secured a long-term water supply. And it is in Equus beds, but we still believe we have plenty of water to take us through into the future.
Okay, well, thank you, folks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for asking.
Shayla Larson?
Hi, my name is Shayla Larson, and I've been a resident of Newton.
Can you pull that mic down?
There you go.
Perfect.
My name is Shayla Larson, and I've been a resident of Newton for nearly 8 years. I'm here to speak out against corruption within the Newton Police Department. The people sworn to protect us are instead harassing and intimidating members of this community. They refuse to release public records, target individuals for retaliation, and abuse their power without accountability. I have personally experienced this. 2 different Newton police officers have stalked and harassed me. One of them followed me for 8 miles and then blocked me in a parking spot and approached my vehicle without any lights or sirens, claiming that he wanted to make sure that everything was okay because he thought I was in a stolen vehicle. But then he never asked for my ID or registration, so how was he verifying anything? Just over a week later, another officer waited for me outside of a hotel, followed me for 4 miles, and pulled me over, claiming that my window tint was too dark. This was after 9 o'clock at night, mind you. And after I had driven this car in Newton for the last 5 years with no issues. When I called him out for harassment, he then backtracked and decided not to give me a ticket. I have requested for CAD reports, body cam footage, dash cam footage, and public records, all of which have been denied. The police refuse to release public information that could hold them accountable. This is not just about me. This is about our entire community. These officers are not above the law. They should not be allowed to harass, retaliate, intimidate citizens simply for holding them accountable. So I ask, what are we going to do about it? How are we going to stop these officers from working based on personal grudges instead of law? And how do we ensure that the Newton Police Department serves the people instead of itself? We deserve justice, we deserve transparency, and we deserve police force that protects, not targets its own community. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have no other items on our agenda this evening. We are going to have an executive session.
I believe 10 minutes to start. Maybe come back at 8:25.
8:25.
We would not anticipate any action taken by the commission after the executive session or executive sessions.
Or afterwards. All right. So if somebody would give me that.
I move that the city commission recess into executive session to discuss a personnel matter. The justification for closing the meeting is to discuss personnel matters involving non-elected personnel. The time and place at which the open meeting shall resume is 8:25 p.m. in the city commission chambers at City Hall.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. from our executive session where no action was taken. We are back in session. I would like to hear what we have going on.
Go Royals.
Baseball needs to start now. Football's done. So my name is Jess Taylor, and I am a Scoutmaster for the female troop of what is now Scouting America here in Newton, 1127. We've had our troop for the last going on 7 years now, and I'm very proud to brag about my daughter. She will be the second female here in Harvey County and one of the first less than 100 in the state of Kansas females to achieve Eagle Scout here in the next week.
Oh, wow.
So she is on a deadline because she turns 18 here on the 26th. So she has 2 more merit badges she's working on, and I will let her tell you about that. But yes, I'm just a brag for a little bit.
Awesome.
Well, you should.
What merit badges are you doing, and what was your Eagle Scout badge?
Speak into the mic.
Just really short. I am currently working on citizenship in the community and citizenship in the, I'm working on citizenship in the community and communication. So I came to this meeting tonight to, one of the requirements was for me to get a issue in my community that people have had some conflict about. And then citizenship in the community, it was just about all the issues that going on. So that was it. I don't have anything else.
Well, you picked a great night. As
Yeah.
you noticed this evening, we have a lot of wide and varied opinions on fireworks discharge and sales and everything. But you saw the wheels of government work.
Yes.
You saw people share their opinion. You saw the negotiation and the Robert's rules. So I think you picked a really great night to come out, and I'm very proud of you.
And I chose to do the fireworks, and I was hoping it was either fireworks or the water bill, which I already talked to, I don't remember his name, but I talked to him about the water bill and why it's so high. So it was really cool. Thank you guys very much.
No, thank you. Congrats.
you.
Much success.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Alrighty, we have another executive session on the schedule this evening. If I can take motion, please. 10 minutes.
I move for 10 minutes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good evening. We have returned for our executive session where no action was taken. We are back in session. Anybody want to go around the horn? Kathy?
No. Good evening, and I think everything worked out well. Thank you to the staff and everyone for how you have helped us. So we thank you.
Rod?
I think the process we went through to come to a decision on fireworks, you know, it's special working with people like you guys that, you know, I mean, once we decide, we just move on and everybody's still cool. So it's fun working with this group and I just appreciate the way we work together on stuff.
And thank you for the pickles.
Yeah.
Appreciate them.
Daniela?
I have nothing.
Suzanne?
No, sir.
Sir? No, sir. Any?
Nope.
I don't have anything to add either. Everybody stay warm, drive safe.
Yeah.
We are adjourned.